Hi everyone, welcome to Coffee with Mildred. We're happy to have you here today. This is a project I started. My name is Maria Erickson. I started this project as a way of collecting oral histories and stories and being able to share in the digital world so others can see these interviews and see the people that they grew up knowing and loving. And so today we are here with Bev Denyes. Excited to do a little interview with her. I'm going to turn this around and get the camera set up. So sorry for all the moving around with the camera. And you can just look at me and ignore all the hardware in front of you.
Okay, look at you.
Yeah, you can just look at me. So how did you come to be in Graham Ray?
Well, actually, we moved to Tofty from Duluth, Minnesota in 1948.
Okay.
Yeah, I had gone to 7th, 8th, and 9th grade at Duluth East Junior. And then I went for my sophomore year and half of my junior year to Duluth Central. And that's when my family decided to move to Tofty because my stepdad, Frank Kreiner, had some jobs in the woods with Scow as a cook, and I don't know what else he did, but I know that I was very disgusted because I had to leave Duluth Central and my friends in Duluth and move to Tofty, Minnesota, which I had hardly ever heard of before. And all I could think of was, as soon as I graduated, I'm getting the H out of here. And I graduated in 49 and I'm still here, although I have lived in other places. I was married to Jerry Jacobson for a number of years, and he was in the service then. And so the first place we lived was in El Paso, Texas, because he was at Fort Bliss. And we were there for a number of months, and then from there we went to Camp McCoy, Wisconsin. And then we lived in Sparta. And then the last year he was in, we were at 5th Army headquarters in Chicago. So we lived in the Chicago area. And when I left Cook County, I had never been any place except to Canada on my skip day as a senior. So it was quite an experience for a greenhorn like me.
Well, and it was not just you, but you were having kids then too, right?
Having what now?
Having kids? So
well, eventually when I got married, yes, then I had children. I got married, I think, when I was 20 or 21. And then we had our first child when I was 23. And then Dean was the last one we born. I have Keith Jacobson as the oldest. He was born in 54. Marty Jacobson is the middle one, and he was born in 58. And then Dean was born in 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it? You moved to Tofty, Minnesota, and then you went to school in Graham Ray?
Right.
And was there a bus?
Yes, we took the bus, and that was a new experience for me too, riding a school bus, because in Duluth, of course, we rode a city transit bus, but here we rode the school bus, and the bus driver was Eddie Anderson, and he was a very nice man. And his wife was Lillian, and they had a number of children. And for some reason, she was suspicious of some of us girls. I think she thought we were flirting with Eddie, and maybe we were. He was a very nice man, and I know on the last day of school, she got on the bus with her children and rode the school bus home with us that day. I always thought that was kind of funny.
So, did you, what was the school like? I mean, you're the new kid, so...
Well, I had, I did know Esther Anderson, who was from Tofty, and she was a good friend with Carol Rood, and so I became friends with Carol because of Esther. So I had a couple of friends, and like I said, there was, I think, 32 in our class, and of those 32 kids, we had 4 students whose last name was Johnson. We had Doris Croft, who was Doris Johnson at that time, and we had Spike Johnson, who was Dwayne. His dad and mother were Bev and Bobby. Let's see. Then we had Ole Johnson from Grand Portage, or Hovland, and there was another Johnson too. I can't recall right now who actually that was, but I remember we had these 4 Johnsons: Lefty, Ole, Dwayne, and who was the other one? Well, it's gone out of my head.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. It was a while ago.
Oh yeah, you think?
So, how was school? Was it different here than in Duluth?
Oh heavens, yes, much different. There was 32 kids in the class. Up here in Duluth, there was over 400.
Oh my.
Yeah, so that was quite a change.
Yeah.
And I adapted, or whatever you want to do. I got used to it anyway.
Yeah.
And I had a few friends, and I'll have to say that I think the girls liked me better than the boys did. The boys were, well, they maybe liked me too, but they were teasing, they were, I don't know if you know, but you probably do know that teenage boys love to tease.
Yes.
So it was fun. It was okay. I got involved in called to some kind of a club that had something about Future Homemakers of America, I think was the name of the club at that time. And our superintendent was Mr. Ingberg, and the principal was a guy named Terry Brownell, who was also the coach for the basketball team. And I think we had a pretty good basketball team.
Mm-hmm. What was your favorite subject in school?
Oh, reading and English.
Yeah?
Yeah, I wasn't not much good at math, but liked reading and English and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. And what did you do outside of school? What sort of activities, or did you work?
Well, one of the biggest things that we all liked to do was go to the basketball games, because the basketball team was pretty important to the school. And I don't know what else we did. We had some dances once in a while. And we could go downtown on our lunch hour. I don't know if we were supposed to or not, but we would go downtown on our lunch hour. And one of the hangouts for the teenagers was Mabel's Cafe.
Okay.
And we'd go to Mabel's Cafe and maybe have a cup of coffee and a donut or something like that. So that was kind of a fun thing to do when we were in high school.
Yeah.
And I know one time several of us girls decided we'd skip school. And I think it was Carol Rude and Doris Croft maybe, and Pat Potter. And so we're strolling around downtown, and who comes walking up the street but Mr. Ingber, who is the principal or the superintendent of the school. And he told us, get back to school. So we did.
And school for you at that time was where the Harborview apartments are now?
Yes.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
You weren't in the new...
No,
where the school is now?
We were in the old school. That was, well, I graduated in 49, so that would have been then.
Yeah. What were graduation celebrations like then? Was it a big deal?
Yeah, it was. And I can remember we had a cap and gown that we wore. I've still got the tassel from my cap in my bedroom. And I can remember that, let's see now, what was I had something I had to participate in this conversation, and now I don't even remember what it was. But it was a good school.
Mm-hmm.
We had home ec, and Lois Staples was our home ec teacher.
Oh.
and she was very good. And somebody else was her home ec teacher before we got her, and we liked Lois better, and she was very patient with us, and it was fun. It was fun. We'd have a dinner one semester, I think, or maybe each semester, where we'd invite the senior boys to dinner.
Oh.
That we'd cooked for them. And I'm sure that was a lot of making fun of us, and you know how kids are.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But we had, like I said, we had all those Johnsons, the four Johnsons that weren't related to each other that were in the class. And there was, the girls were like Carol Rude, who is now Berglund, Pat Potter, who was married to Daryl Holte, me. We had an Esther Anderson. Excuse me, she quit school. She didn't finish. And who else did we have? Well, did I say Doris Croft, Doris Johnson? Anita Schultz, she was, her dad had he was the undertaker in the county at that time. Came from Florida or somewhere. Carol Berglund, besides Carol Rude. We said Doris. Phyllis Finley. My mind is kind of drifting off here now. But there was, for the boys we had like Spike Johnson, Dave Bushman, John McKelvey, Dick Eckel, Donald Lagarde, he was from Portage, Lamar Lewis, Alan McCall. Did I say Wayne Johnson? Dwayne
Johnson?
Yeah, he was in our class.
So who did you have a crush on in high school?
Well, I think I had a crush on Mike Bushman. Never went out with them. And everybody in the class had a crush on Dick Eckel. All the girls, I should say.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was very cute and he was a nice guy. Those guys all would like to get a 6-pack of beer, though, and drink their beer. We were, of course, above that. The girls weren't going to be doing anything like that.
Mm-hmm. So who is your favorite teacher?
Dorothy Hostetler.
And what did she teach?
She taught English. She was a wonderful woman. She really liked her. I think all the kids liked her. And when I came, excuse me, when I came to school, it was halfway through the school year, and so I was treated very well, especially by the teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl, like I said, the girls liked me. I don't know about the boys so much, but I think I had a few boyfriends too, but maybe not high school boyfriends. Maybe they were town guys that were hanging around.
So what did you do after high school?
I worked down at the Tofty Edgewater for Tom Hansen. He had a restaurant and a grocery store. And so I worked for him during high school too. And then after high school, I worked for him. And then in September of '49, I got a job as a telephone operator for Olga Erickson, who had the agency in her home right there on the highway.
Okay.
And so then I worked for her for 2 years. And in the meantime, I don't remember to this day how I met Jerry Jacobson. But we started dating, and he went in the service, and then he came home on a leave or furlough or whatever you call it, and we got married, and that was in '51. I graduated in '49, and we lived in El Paso, Texas. He was in the service, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
So we lived in El Paso, Texas. He was at Fort Bliss. And we shared an apartment with another couple who he was in the Army, and she was a Canadian girl. And I was really very much dead set against her behavior, because when she'd come, when he'd come, when Craig, her husband's name was Craig, her name was Joe. When Craig would be gone and couldn't be over, she'd be entertaining his buddies. And so I thought she was a cheater, and she was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think she ended up getting pregnant and went to Mexico and had an abortion, and she almost died. She was so sick. But, those are just kind of fleeting memories in the back of my head.
Yeah. What was it like being a phone operator at that time?
Well, in Tofty, it was a one-position switchboard, and I worked like from 8 to 5, I think. And you did everything. You answered the phones, you made the long-distance calls. If the line was busy, if there was a fire, you had to make sure that you got that straightened out. And it wasn't in Tofty that we had the fire whistle, though. In Grand Marais, if you were working and there was a fire, you could blow the fire whistle, so then all the firemen would call in to see where the fire was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was something that was important to take care of.
So you were not just like the phone operator, you were dispatch and everything else.
Yeah,
if there was an
right,
emergency.
right.
And
They had a lot of responsibility.
yeah. So did you get any good stories from that?
Can't tell.
All confidential at this point.
Yeah,
huh?
you can't. You gotta be careful about what you're talking about, because if you overheard something you shouldn't have overheard, that would have been get in deep trouble.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I worked for Olga Erickson for 2 years, and I'll tell you, I learned a lot from her, and Chet, just the nicest couple you'd ever want to be around. Their children are Jean and Donald was the oldest, then Jean,
Yeah.
and then they had 2 daughters. Leslie was the younger girl, and then what was the other one? Dorothy something. Dorothy Lou or Dorothy Kay or Dorothy something.
Okay.
Nice family.
So did you help take care of their kids too, or did you just come in
No.
and do the phone and?
No, I just took care of the switchboard. Maybe a couple times, if there was some reason they had to be away at night, I would spend the night and then, kind of be in charge. But I wasn't that much older than Donald.
Yeah. Yeah, because I forget how old Jean is now. How old are you?
I'm 90.
90.
I'm 90 years old. I just turned 90 years old on the 25th of September, and I love my birthday. I celebrate my birthday for as many days and nights as I am years old.
Oh my.
Yes, I do.
So you're still celebrating then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What do you love to do to celebrate?
Oh, maybe just have a cookie or a glass of wine, or, just something small. It isn't any great big hoorah, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm famous for it.
Well, good. That's a good
Yeah.
tradition to have, I think.
Yeah, it is. Very fortunate, too, that I've had, my kids are good to me. Like my son Marty bought me that TV and then another small one just like it out in the kitchen. Keith gave me a red convertible. Dean, he does something for me all the time. I'm just very grateful.
And were you married Jerry and you traveled around and whatnot. Did you get divorced? Or did you stay married?
No, Jerry and I divorced after I don't know how many years. I can't remember anymore. And then I was single for a while, and then I met Michelle, my second husband, at a dance in Silver Bay because I was working down in Silver Bay as well as Cook County for the phone company. And then he died too after 20 some years. Well, I was going to show you his picture, but it's hiding behind that picture that my little grandson made for me. My great-grandson is quite the artist.
Oh.
Those are his pictures that he gives to Nana.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So I have to display them.
And what did Michelle do?
He was an electrician.
Oh, okay.
He was working down that was during the time when they were doing that off-land tailings disposal down there at Silver Bay, and they were, there was a big push on to get that all straightened out. So he just happened to be at this dance when a bunch of us were out for an evening of, Silver Bay must have had a new something we were showing off, and so he was a cute guy, so I asked him to dance, and he danced, and he had a very heavy French accent, and he liked to tell people, I did meet her at a dance, and we have been dancing ever since.
Well, that's a lovely
Yeah, we got married out in New Hampshire where my friend Carol's and Dean Smith lived.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you go out there?
I don't know. We wanted to be with Carol and Dean, I guess, because they were my best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we were married for, however many years, 20-some years when he died. First of all, he had esophageal cancer, and I got that straightened out, and then a couple of years later he got pancreatic cancer, and that's a death sentence.
And he was the electrical inspector, right, when he died?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He must have died in like 2005? 2006?
I can't tell you. Whatever you say is probably right.
Yeah, because he was the electrical inspector on my house.
Okay.
And he did the initial inspection, and then he died, so it was kind of an act of God for me to get the final inspection.
Yeah. Who'd you end up getting then?
I ended up having to have the head inspector from the state of Minnesota come with another guy from Duluth to come and do the inspection.
Yeah.
And I can't remember why. There was something funny, or that it was so long, that it took them to get there or something. But anyway, it got done. But I didn't know that was who you were married to.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, I never changed my name.
Okay.
Yeah, I told him if he wanted to become Michelle Denyes, he could, but I wasn't going to become Michelle Beaupre, or Beverly Beaupre. I figured as long as I got Denyes back, I might as well keep it.
Was it hard when you and Jerry got divorced? And we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
Well, that's fine. No, well, he was a nice man when he was nice, but when he wasn't, he wasn't. Is Dean around? I don't want to hear him sing. I don't say anything.
I think he's way in the back.
No, we'll talk about that some other time.
Yeah. It, not so much him, but I mean someone in your generation. I mean, was that an okay thing to do at that point, or did society really look down on
No.
Did society look down on that? Were you...
If they did, I didn't know it.
Oh, it didn't bother you at all?
No, I just needed to make myself safe.
Yeah. And did your kids ever go to school up here?
Yeah, they all did.
Okay.
They graduated in, I think, 73, 76, and 78.
From Cook County High School?
Yeah.
Huh. And they were in the new school then at that point?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
I don't remember that. They would tell you, but I don't know if, yeah, but I don't remember.
So when you were raising your kids here, where were you living? Were you still in Tofty or were you in town? Oh, you were right here in this house.
We lived in this. I've lived in this house. Moved in here, 1962. No, that's not right. That's not right. Let's see now. I have to think about that a little bit.
You've been here for a while.
Yeah.
In this house.
Yeah.
Oh. And this was it a fun neighborhood to raise kids?
Yeah, Bob and Lois Sandy lived across the street, and they had Marilyn and Stevie.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those houses over there weren't there. This house was here. This house had been Carolyn Gordon Osie's, and I don't know if you remember that name or not, but he was the principal and the superintendent of schools.
Okay.
And so we bought it from them. And added on, if you can see where the beam is in the ceiling, is where we added on out in the kitchen.
Okay.
Added on to the back part of the house. Yeah, it's been a good house. We paid $11,900 for it back in whatever year that was.
Wow.
There was something I was going to think about, and now I've lost it. What were we talking about? You asked me something. If we lived here, I think it was.
Yeah, what it was like raising kids in this neighborhood. And you were talking about the neighbors, and they had some kids.
Yeah, well, there was Bob and Lois Sandy and Steve and Marilyn lived at Kitty Corner. And then up a block and around the corner was Ted and Elsie Smith. And they had a bunch of kids. And those, like I said, some of those houses across the street weren't even here. And then when they were built, elderly people lived in them. There was like the Mooses.
Oh, yep.
They lived in one of them. And then right across the street was Hilma and some Berglund or Bergstrom or whatever. They were an older couple. Right next door to me this way was it's a rental house that was owned by Lund's Cabins, and they had a couple with some children that lived in there. I think it was a Schold. I think it was Roger Schold and his wife and a couple of girls, 2-3 girls, or maybe a son. You know, a lot of that stuff is gone. It's a vague memory.
Yeah. So you were a working woman the whole time?
Yeah.
Was that unusual?
No, there was a lot of us that worked, like Pat Backlund, she worked at the phone company with me. Pat Backlund, Pat Potter, or Pat Holte, let's see, Shirley Johnson. It was Doris Johnson's sister. There was quite a few of us that worked. Vivian Faraday was the chief operator, and her daughter Pat worked too. She was a teenage girl.
So was there daycare for the kids, or who took care of the kids?
We took care of each other's kids. A lot of us worked shifts, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Different shifts, so then we'd take care of each other's kids. Or else grandma or grandpa or somebody would take care of them.
Yeah. Was your mom still living with your stepdad in Tofty when you were raising kids?
No, they moved into town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Used to be a little house right down at the end of the Gunflint Trail, a little white house.
Yeah.
Between the highway and right off the highway. They lived in that house for a while, and then they moved around a lot, and they also had a good job for a while, caretaking a place up on Greenwood Lake.
Oh.
And they made pretty good money at that, but then my stepdad was an oddball, and he was always mad about something, so he was complaining about the whatevers of the whatever, and they fired him. That's unfortunate, but that's the way it was.
Yeah. So what do you suppose has kept you in Cook County? Is it by chance, or did you at some point go, this is where I want to stay?
Well, actually, no. When Jerry was in the service, like I said, we lived these different places. And then when he was discharged, we decided, well, we'll come back to Cook County and we'll get jobs and we'll save our money and then we'll go away to school. Well, we never went away to school because we never saved any money. And some of this is kind of foggy, you know?
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. And I don't know where I was going to go with this, but maybe it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
I'm 90, you know.
Right. Well, that's all right. By the way, you look lovely for 90. I never would have guessed.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm very grateful that I still know who I am.
Yeah. Well, and I'm grateful, too, that you have all these great memories.
Yeah, I am, too.
Yeah. So what was some of the fun times of raising kids up here?
Well, I was a den mother for 9 years, so that was fun.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Well, you know, to get them all through the different groups of Cub Scouting. And I always worked, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably kind of proud of my accomplishments.
You should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the kids had good friends too. Like Steve Leonard or Sandy was a good friend, and Steve and Marilyn both were good friends of our kids, and Bobby and Marlene had Bruce and Steve, and then they had Marianne, and Pat and Daryl Holte had Leanne and Mike, and I think the younger one was Barbara. Carol and Dean Smith had 3 sons. They had Randy, Jeff, and Mark. So we had a nice group of people to be associating with.
Yeah. What were some of the fun things you'd do together?
A lot of it would just be house parties.
Yeah.
You know, or somebody's birthday, and then we'd get together and have cake and coffee and ice cream and just real simple, easygoing ways of living.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't have to send out the invitations and get the...
No, the invitation was on the phone. Well, maybe when the kids were little we did, but I don't really remember that much.
Yeah. Well, now it's such a big production every time you get together, and colors and decorations and all that kind of stuff.
Well, we've had a few parties here that have been whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
You know, the housewarming party we had here when after we got settled in, we had a wonderful housewarming party here. And I think everybody brought food.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken.
So how many people did you fit in here?
Oh, I bet there was at least 30.
Yeah.
You know. And we didn't have the deck then. We just had... Well, the kitchen was smaller then because we added on in later years. In fact, Dean's building a house that's got this, not 2 stories, just 1 story, that's got this very similar floor plan.
Okay.
And hopefully I can stay here till I
Yep.
croak. And, you know, if I should become infirmed, I'll have to go in the care center, but let's cross that when it comes to it.
Yeah, there's no sense rushing out of here.
No.
Yeah. Well, how very nice.
Yeah, and we've like put all new windows in the house, and this is the original plaster, and we had a fire upstairs, so that's why we've got a different ceiling now. Larry Krause did this ceiling for me.
What caused the fire upstairs?
Well, I had a girl staying here with us, and she had a kitty, and she had a candle going. It was on a Sunday, and I'd been someplace with a friend, and she left that candle going with that kitty in the room, and she went down in the basement with, I think, my boys or somebody, and the cat knocked the candle over and started a fire in that one upstairs bedroom.
Oh no.
And somebody was driving by and saw the flames coming out of the window, so they called the fire department. And I'd been gone someplace for a while and came back, and here's a fire engine in front of the house, and thank God the whole house didn't burn down. That person that happened to see the fire, to get the fire engine here, to get the fire department here, that saved the house from burning down.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
They must have caught it right at the beginning.
Yeah, and then we must have had to all stay different places for a while till we got this back, at least so we could live in it.
Yeah.
It's funny how those things, they leave a big impression on you, but you don't recall all the little details as time goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, at the time, though, it's probably something that you just are totally...
It was horrible.
Yeah. It consumes you for a while.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll get your heart pumping when you come home and see the fire engine.
But we lived through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a comfortable home. Very, very comfortable. It's got 2 bedrooms upstairs, they're small.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got 2 bedrooms on this floor. And it's got 3 bathrooms, because there's a bathroom in the basement, and there's 2 bathrooms on this floor. And this carpeting was some that was my son Marty's, and he took it out of his house because he was moving, and he gave it to me. And so this has been really good carpeting.
Nice.
It's been in here for a long time. And it's kind of fun to look around and see, like, that dresser I bought from Jean Ann Johnson's yard sale after she died. This one we bought, the bookcase behind it, which is similar to this, only large, that's from a rummage sale. That oval table over there is from Herb and Jane Hedstrom's rummage sale.
A lot of history sitting around here.
These chairs we bought, that I got at a rummage sale for $2, and then I had it restored.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
The wooden sewing machine?
That table was my auntie's. When she died, I took it out of her place. Yeah, so anyway, it's kind of fun to reminisce about all these treasures of mine.
Yeah. Is there any favorite memory that you love talking about that we haven't touched on today that you can think of?
I'll think of it after you leave.
Okay, then write it down and I'll come back and we'll talk about it. How does that sound?
I'm just grateful that I have a lovely home like this. And I mean, there's nothing fancy or deluxe, but it's very comfortable.
Yeah, and you guys worked hard for it and maintained it, and
yeah, I think it was $11,000, just under $12,000 when we bought it.
Yeah, pretty good investment.
Yeah, I don't know what it would be worth now, but
Um,
At least 100,000, I think.
oh, you're closer to like 300,000.
Really?
250, 300. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you a realtor?
I'm a loan officer at the bank.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Which bank?
Grand Race State
Yeah.
Bank. Yeah.
Well, Dean got a bargain.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here.
Okay.
Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching Coffee with Mildred. If you like this, there are plenty of other interviews out there on the Cook County Historical website. You can also donate at cookcountyhistory.org. We would love to have you become a member or make a donation. We have lots of projects going on. Hit like and subscribe to this so that you can be notified when all new videos are uploaded. Have a good day.
Okay, now how can I become a member of all this?
Wow.